Hello and welcome back to the WTF Sunderland Preview Podcast as we approach our midweek clash with Liverpool at Anfield. Our first visit to the red half of Merseyside since I think November 2016, and we go to the home of the champions with plenty of confidence after our 3-2 comeback win over Bournemouth on Saturday. But our hosts have been boosted by a much needed 2-0 win over West Ham on Sunday as well. So what can we expect? And look, it feels like it's been a long time in coming, this one, but to help me preview the game, it's someone I've followed for quite a long while. Mick Moran from the Kopite Podcast. How are you doing, mate? You alright?
Yeah, absolute pleasure. Nice one for inviting me on. I haven't done many of these for a while, to be honest. But yeah, I've been looking at this game even before we went into the little slump. I was looking at this game as one I was intrigued by because obviously Sunderland have started the season so well. At the time I was looking at it initially, we were doing well as well. Now that's changed a little bit, so I am. It's gonna be a good game, and I've always obviously we mentioned Henderson before we started recording. I've always, because of that link, I've always kind of kept an eye out on Sunderland's results and stuff. So I'm interested to see what. I think it's going to be a good game anyway.
Yeah, hope so. Fingers crossed. I think, look, there's loads to get into Liverpool this season because if you're Sky Sports or any form of media, obviously Liverpool are high on the agenda for a number of reasons, but let's start from the top. You picked up a win, like I said in the intro, against West Ham on Sunday. I feel like, as I said in the intro, it was much needed because of the sort of noise that's been around Liverpool over the past few weeks. But you're sort of 24 hours or so on from the game. How's the performance? How are you feeling after it?
Good. I'm relieved we got a win. I think that's the same for most Liverpool fans. Like when Gakpo scored that second one, the sigh of relief and the tension that was released from my body was just unreal because it was like I can settle down and Liverpool are going to win a game of football, which is a bit mad to say if you cast your mind back to 2 months ago where Liverpool were winning games. We were winning them late, but we were still winning games, and now we're in a bit of a mad bit of form where this was thankfully on paper, and it actually came to fruition. The West Ham game was perfect for us because we've been playing teams who want to play long ball, like Forest, long balls into areas, cause loads of havoc. Usually we can't deal with it, but in this current vein of form that we're in, we definitely can't deal with it. So we've been really, really struggling. Like you look at the results we've had against Brentford, long balls, like all that type of stuff, long throws, everything like that has really, really scuppered us. And it felt like West Ham was perfect because they don't really do that and they don't really press. So the two things that you can do to get Liverpool is either press them really, really high and put them under pressure, or play loads of long balls into the channels and get a quick winger or a quick striker on the end of it. And they didn't really do any of that. So it felt like it was a boring game. I think watching it, it was. I mean, I'll take boring as long as the day is if Liverpool are going to win at the end of the game. But it just felt like once the first one and settled down, I think it felt like a bit of a formality. Obviously, West Ham with a few chances. Bowen had a really good one, which heart in the mouth moment, which I thought it was going top corner, and I expected it to go top corner the way that Liverpool have been playing recently, and the way our luck's been going. But yeah, a much needed win, and yeah, it's something to build onto. The only thing is, I don't want to get my hopes up too much, and I think that's probably the same as most Liverpool fans because we had a bit of a mad run and then we beat Villa and Real Madrid at home and then we got beat by Man City and then we started to lose games again. So I don't want to, I guess no Liverpool fans getting too hyped up by it, like standard 2-0 win over West Ham away from home, but it's a good little mini tiny, any other words, that a small foundation to build on going into this one.
Prior to that, I think as people knew, you lost three from three, and the pressure had started building on the manager. It stopped being like a slump. It started being, oh, hang on, this is the worst record in like something like 72 years or something I heard, and suddenly the pressure turns to start, as it does, modern day football, I suppose, rightly or wrongly. But how important was it for him that he got that result just to alleviate the pressure a little bit?
Oh yeah, I think it's massive, of course, for the manager because we're not. I hate being a second club of managers. We've obviously done it in the past, like with Roy Hodgson, who didn't last long, but we could tell he was just out of his depth straight away, and it was the wrong appointment, and that was a mad time to be a Liverpool fan. But I can't really complain because most of the time Liverpool do well. Like when we do hire good managers, like obviously we've just had Jurgen Klopp for a long time and just an absolute legend of the game and took us to heights that we didn't even think of before he came in. And Slot came in and kind of just took the tools that Jurgen had already provided basically and made us win the league, which none of us expected. But this is his kind of first probably big piece of bad form, especially like at a high profile club like Liverpool. Obviously, if you're at Feyenoord stuff, obviously that can still happen, but it's not, you don't get the same type of scrutiny that you would in English media and stuff in the way that you would if you're at Liverpool. But yeah, I'm glad we got a win for him. You can see at the end of the game he was giving a thumbs up to the crowd, and the fans were singing a song in the away end and stuff, and that type of stuff hasn't been there for a while because people have been getting off early. Like I've been at Anfield the last couple of games, people are leaving on 70 minutes, people are leaving on 75. Haven't seen that 10 years, 15 years. It's been a long time since that's been happening, so that is concerning when the fans aren't even on your side. But I think, like I said, a little bit of a building block from West Ham. Hopefully that can give us a bit of impetus going into this one. And yeah, I think again, just to stave the pressure off Slot and to stave the pressure off the players as well, because I think in the early part of the West Ham game, you could see the players were looked a bit just lacking on confidence, like the little passes into midfield. Just sometimes they're a bit too hesitant to play those balls that are maybe a little bit risky, but if you're feeling confident that they should be second nature, like I know a line breaking pass into Gravenberch or to McAllister from Kanate or Van Dijk, you should be doing that every game, 10, 15 times a game, but those type of things just weren't happening because players were terrified to lose the ball and they were terrified to be on the back foot early doors and maybe concede the goal because we've been conceding loads of early goals as well, so it's been a bit of a mad time, but yeah, Slot will be mightily relieved that Liverpool got a result.
I heard the fan sing his name yesterday, and I think you always know your own club better than the media does. But when you're Liverpool, who are arguably the biggest club in England and one of the biggest clubs in Europe, naturally noise comes from outside of Liverpool as well as just inside. Internally, was there much pressure on Slot at all? Was it getting kind of more progressive, or is there still? I mean, I know everyone's different, mate, but like in your opinion, from what you'd seen, is his position not safe because it's never safe, is it? But was there much pressure internally from the fan base?
I think so. I think there was a little bit. I think because it went on as long as it did, and then you mentioned the defeats, like getting beat by 3 goals in 3 consecutive games, getting beat by PSV 4-1 at home, getting beat by Forest 3. Like, if you're backing up a 3-0 loss to Forest to a 4-1 defeat to PSV, that is just not acceptable. Like, it doesn't, I mean, if you change those 2 away games and it's 3-0 away and 4-1 away, it's still not good enough. But the fact that it was at home as well, and that obviously we pride ourselves on our home record and something that we've been amazing at over basically since Jurgen came in, it's became a bit more of a fortress than it used to be from like 2015 before that. But yeah, there was definitely pressure. Like obviously, like tons of stuff I do, like Anfield Rap and sometimes Redmen TV and stuff like that. Like people in and around those areas would be saying like the manager's job is on the line the next couple of games. Like obviously West Ham, I'm in like a group chat and we do like a little predictions, and most of the people were saying 2-1 to West Ham, 3-1 West Ham, and then you're like, this is the reality now. Obviously we've had it good for many years, so you can't say like we've had a bad time of it, but in the current plight that we're in, it's like you said, no manager's job is safe, and yet there was definitely question marks. I imagine FSG, the type of ownership they are, they wouldn't have probably been looking to kick Slot out the door straight away, because we're not that type of club, and I pride ourselves that we're not that type of club. We're not Chelsea. We're not going to just rip up the rule book from if we lose 2 games in a row and get a new manager, and it's not what we do. I'd rather give a manager time and to see if he can fix it. But then that amount of time you give someone, it can only be so long. You can't. If we would have lost to West Ham and then we invite Sunderland to Anfield and it's another difficult game, we lose that. Then you're looking at you lose track of how many losses are in a sustained period of time. So that can't continue. So I'm hoping, praying that the West Ham victory was just a sign of green shoots. Hopefully.
Think if I take you back to the start of the season, I got asked by it was some Liverpool content site about questions ahead of the season, and like I'd looked at who you'd signed, and look throughout the Klopp years, I feel like for the size of club you were and the ambitions you hadn't spent that much. Look, you had. I'm sure people pick out one or two, but in terms of like what you see some clubs spend, it wasn't quite there. And then this summer he brought in Kirkes, Verts, Isak, Ekitike. Obviously, it hasn't quite clicked yet, but when I was asking the summer, I was like, Yeah, like I don't see how Liverpool don't win it because they were far and wide the best side last year. Yes, of course, you lost a couple of players. I think Trent's a big player, and tragically, of course, Yotta's a huge player for you as well, and tragically lost him. But the players you brought in, I felt like it was only adding to your strength. If I take you back to the summer, how impressed were you with the recruitment at the time? Obviously, we know what we know now, but at the time, how did that feel signing those sort of players?
I was the exact same as I guess most Liverpool fans were as well. Like this is only going to solidify another Premier League title. When we signed Isak, I thought that surely means that we're just gonna trounce it. We're just gonna we're gonna absolutely mash it up with one of the best forwards in world football signing for us. Obviously, Vert is a bit of an unknown quantity, but in the Premier League, but we know how good he is, know how talented he is. But it's proven that he needs adaptation time. Isak's coming and he's obviously not had the pre-season and stuff. But with the transfer window we had, I thought this is going to be unreal. But I guess like with hindsight, you can see that the balance has been a little bit off, losing Diaz as well. I think Diaz is one of the main ones. Obviously, you mentioned Trent and obviously Jota, which is just horrendous. But Trent, Jota, and even Nunes to a degree, just those players who are going to run everywhere at full speed. Like Diaz was one of them, Nunes was one of them. Like there's no jogging, there's no just light walking or whatever. It's like it's full pelt sprints, like 40, 50, 60 sprints a game. Diaz was always a menace. But again, you've got to factor in that Diaz getting a little bit age-wise getting on. I think it was nearly 70 mil we got off Bayern, so you can't really turn that down in a way. So we did have to. Hand was forced a little bit in terms of prices and how good clubs were offering us. So it's one of those things that it was gonna, I guess, now that we've had hindsight, it was going to take time, and I think we were all just a bit excited because we were, like you said, we don't go and splurge massive amounts in one big glut. We usually spread them out over a couple of years because that's the FSG way to live within the club's means and the club's remit. That's the way we've always done it. And again, that's another thing I pride Liverpool on because you're never going to see us involved in FFP stuff because there's no way FSG would abide it because we're always right in the books are always correct, thankfully. But you can't say the same about other clubs. And yeah, I thought we'd absolutely smash it. But again, when you've got the context of what's happened and losing certain players and the system having to change a little bit and certain players not being able to give the same amount as like Diaz, I guess replacing if Diaz was on the left and you replace him with Gakpo, they're both like good players, but it's not the same intensity. And I think especially in the glut in the rut that we've been in, you want like a Luis Diaz to chase people down, harry people, and make stuff happen. And the fact we haven't had him and players like that has hurt us a little bit, I think.
I think you look at like the start of the season. I watched the first three games of the season because obviously it was the Friday night against Bournemouth. The Newcastle game, I think, was a Monday night. I really enjoyed the end of that one. That was really good fun. And then the Arsenal game, I think naturally at the time that was like, right, whoever wins this, so can Liverpool fend them off? Because like Arsenal are kind of at the time, the pretenders or the potential team that would win the title if Liverpool don't. And they all ran you close, but you kind of got over it, and it was a feeling that, all right, okay, this is Liverpool's kind of like playing as champions, and the signings you brought in. The way I looked at it wasn't that can they win the Premier League? It was like, oh, they're going for the Champions League and the Premier League. That's kind of how it felt. You were building a squad for like multiple competitions, but you did have this air of champions in those first three games. Obviously, it's gone wrong since then. But at what point did things start going wrong, and what was kind of, if you can pick it out, the pivotal moment when you thought, hang on, this is not quite clicking how I thought?
Um, I don't know. I mean, I think I've only missed the Man United game at home this season, thankfully. Absolutely ruined my birthday. It was absolutely grim. But yeah, the first part of the season, you just thought of Liverpool carrying on the way they ended last season. End of last season we weren't great, but we were still managing to win games, and that kind of carried on. We were leaving it late in a lot of games, like you said, Newcastle, where Ngamawa scores, and like you mentioned, I'm sure you were celebrating just as hard as I was. Um,
Yes.
and then like Arsenal, like bit of a title title challenges going head to head and all that at Anfield, and Szoboszlai whips in a majestic free kick. Um, but yeah, I just think at the time when you're riding the wave of like we're scoring late winners, like there's nothing better. There's very few things in the world that are as good as a late winner when you a really tight game and you smack in a 93rd minute winner and that's the last kick of the game. the emotion that brings, you can't. There's not many things better than that. And I think we were maybe thinking we were just riding away, but we were also in the back of our minds thinking we're not playing amazingly. We're just scraping over the line, like with a bit of magic towards the end. We've done it against Atletico as well, where Van Dijk scores a last minute header at Anfield as well. So there was plenty in that period where we needed to pull a rabbit out of a hat, so to speak. So I guess that maybe just started once those late winners evaporated, then you're just left with, well, Liverpool probably just aren't playing well enough to win football games, and that's kind of what transpired in what we saw after that. Which, I mean, the fact that we went that many games in a row, when I think we were 5 points clear at one stage, and then we went on a losing streak. The fact that we're the only team in the Premier League to have not drawn a game, I think, just says everything about, if Liverpool score first, we're probably going to win. If we've conceived first, we're probably going to lose, and that, like, you can't win anything playing like that, and that's kind of been the story of Liverpool season.
Does it feel a little bit like, and this thing always takes time. I think no one expected it, but does it feel a little bit like a changing of the times at Liverpool? Because I look at, obviously, I work up here in Scotland, and there was a lot of discussion about Robbo in the summer, and Kirkes comes in. Kirkes obviously hasn't hit the ground running, he's been quite poor, but Robbo is, what, 31, 32 now, and he's far from finished, but there is a point when you're going to have to look beyond the Robbo, and teams like Liverpool, or teams who have title ambitions, will look at players who are young and up and coming, or 25, 26, 27 hitting their peak. You've lost Trent, clearly. Szoboszlai's gone in at right back, which is, there's debate over that as well. Salah's not quite been the player that, I mean, he's been undoubtedly one of the best players in the Premier League that's ever seen, in my opinion. He hasn't quite been there. You've got two new strikers there. Does it feel a little bit like this season, maybe unexpectedly, is a transition season potentially, which means that you'll not maybe get your aims, but in the years to come, you'll have a good, solid team, and these players will eventually come to fruition.
Yeah, I think so. I think that's a good way of saying it, actually, because Salah's obviously signed a new 2-year deal, so is Van Dijk, but succession planning needs to happen way in advance of that. I think Isak, in a way, I think Isak will be the heir to that Salah throne, in terms of, like, Salah wants to be the main man. He wants to be top goal scorer. He wants to get all the goals. Whereas once he goes in a couple of years, Isak will be that guy, and he'll want to be starting moves, finishing moves, the way Salah's been doing for us for so long. Like I said, he's one of the best that the league's ever seen. Um, and he's not getting any younger, so his pace is dropped a little bit. Those duels that he used to win so easily, maybe he loses a couple of them now. So it's just that type of thing as you get older. But he still wants to play games of footy. So I think credit to Slot that he did drop him, to be honest, for the West Ham game, because I think you need to. I think Salah just wants to play every game, and I think he just needs to be told that you can't, because there's been, especially the last couple of years, even when he's been smashing it and scoring loads of goals, the tail end of the season he always seems to tail off. And I think that's down to obviously getting older and being played too much. But yeah, I think, like you said, with Robbo, not the player that he was, but I think he was getting linked with Atletico Madrid at some point, and he said recently in the media that he had a big decision this summer to make, and obviously he chose to stay, and I'm made up because of that, because I knew the Kirkes signing was while it was a good one, it was always going to take time. He's only 21. I think he's so young. He's got so much energy, but he's just a bit rash, and he's just a bit, yeah, he just gets a bit of a, like, scatty in his brain sometimes with certain stuff. He just seems like if he's in an area and he doesn't know what to do, he just does the first thing, and sometimes it's the wrong decision, especially when everything's magnified at a club like Liverpool. So you've got to be really screwed on pretty easy. But yeah, I think that the business we done, and like with Robbo, may probably go in maybe next year, or we'll see what happens with him. But I'm glad he stayed around. And then obviously we mentioned before Trent left, and we brought in Frimpong. I think it's just the complete style change as well, because we had for so long it was Robbo and Trent, and they'd just be the basically road runners or long balls into areas from that area. And we've kind of switched around to now having Frimpong, who's more of a runner, but then we want to keep, if Frimpong goes forward, Kirkes stays back, whereas it used to be both go, both run, both just do whatever you can midfield, will mop up for you. Whereas now under Slot it's a little bit more tactical, where he doesn't really want that. He seems to, if Frimpong or Bradley goes, he wants Kirkes to stay, and vice versa. So there's lots of tactical stuff and other stuff, but Yeah, I am glad Robbo stayed, to be honest. But yeah, I think the next couple of years will be key, and it does seem like this might be one of those seasons where we just kind of feel out what's best. Because especially in that bracket as well, as it was obviously Florian Wirtz, who cost us a lot of money, and I thought it was his best bit of footy he played against West Ham. He was knitting us up so nicely, given a free roll basically, like go and do what you want, knit up the from the defence to the strikers. You just knit it up in the midfield, and I thought he's done it beautifully throughout especially the first half. I just thought he was running the game. So it's just all those style changes going from what we've known for so long, Slot kind of keeping that a little bit, but making us more controlled, to now Slot having, well, certain players are getting to an age where they need to probably leave in a couple of years, and we need to be, like you said, planning for the future. And that obviously it can't be like for like all the time. So, and especially his style is slightly different. So it might take this season. I mean, I'm hoping from like January, February onwards that those players that we've mentioned there will start to click a little bit more. Obviously, that'll probably be too late for for Premier League um, title challenges, but I am secretly hoping that Champions League might be good for us. I know we just had a really poor result against PSV, but the run of form that we've been in, I think, like we played Real Madrid, beat Atletico Madrid. There's teams in there that we've beaten. I think that the Champions League might be a good little outlet for us this season.
Talked about Verts there, and I watched the game yesterday, and he did look better. I think naturally he's had his criticism. I think there's two ways when you spend that much money, you want him to hit the ground running, and maybe he should, but like football's not, it's just not utopian. That's just not the way football always works. Like not everyone can just go on a pitch and be worth 120 million immediately. You look at Salah, he cost 30 million and he worked out immediately well straight away. It doesn't work the other way around, but there was green shoots for him yesterday, and I think Slot spoke about how well he played, and I think Jan Fjord afterwards spoke about how well he played and stuff like that as well. With Wirtz alongside maybe Salah, they've maybe been the disappointments because of the money you spent and what you expect from Salah as well. But with Wirtz, first and foremost, did it feel like yesterday was a green shoot of recovery and like something clicked a little bit yesterday and now you've got something to build on?
Yeah, I think so. I think he's not the type to be, I guess, like bullying strike midfielders, whatever. He is a bit slight, and again, caveat, he is a little bit young, so hopefully he can bulk up as some players need to do as they get to the Premier League. You do need to be a little bit stronger, like especially against Man City. Just a couple of 50-50s, and he was getting pushed at the ball by Phil Foden and stuff like that, where that needs to change in the next couple of years because you need to be you need to have a bit of press resistance to you if you're going to be playing in those areas where there's going to be loads of people around the ball. But in terms of his dribbling ability and his ability to, I love the way he passed the ball, like, because it informs the next phase of play. It's always into the path of the player. It's always in the right areas where he's basically telling the person he's passing to what he wants them to do with it, which I really like. And um, you can see it. You can see how good he is. But I think if he came in as a 20 million player, it would be obviously be a different thing. You'd see we've got a bargain here. He's a good player. He's good on the ball. He's neat and tidy. I think Jamie Carragher said it before the game. Like, he's been neat and tidy so far, but we need more than that because of the money. That's just, I'm sure Arne Slot's not saying that to him directly, but that's kind of what we want him to be, better in all aspects. And like you said, the green shoots were there against West Ham, where he was allowed to basically do what he wants and just knit play a little bit better. He should have scored for me. I think there was a little bit of play where Kakpo knocks it down to him, and he kind of just, yeah, it's just a bit of a tame effort, and the keeper saves it easily. But I'd like to think in a couple of months when he gets in those areas, like, just wrap that top corner. Like, I think if that was, you see it for Germany when he plays for Germany, he scores bangers. So I want to see the net ripple a little bit more when Wirtz is in around the box, and just shoot more as well, because we know he's got a shot on him. Slobosly does it on again and scores. So I'd like to see that a little bit more from him as well. But yeah, I think good signs, and hopefully we can take that into Sunderland.
Looking ahead to the game on Wednesday, I don't think I expected it. Like, and I wasn't the most pessimistic Sunderland fan, but I'm realistic. I didn't expect to be going in above Liverpool in December, but here we are. We're actually, I think, 1 point above you in sixth place. But there's been plaudits. I don't really care where they come from, if I'm honest with you. Like, I'm not that bothered as long as I think we're doing well and Sunderland are doing well. That's naturally what I'm concerned about. But I'm aware that some people outside have been noticing how well Sunderland have done, especially with the home form, winning away at Chelsea. It felt like that changed people's opinion and people stood up a little bit. What have you made of Sunderland from the outside looking in? Because we go into the game in sixth, and I think we're about 5 wins away from safety. So fingers crossed we can get those 5 wins as quick as possible and then move on. But what have you made of it?
To be honest, I've really enjoyed watching you. Like you said, the I think the Chelsea one for me was the one where I was like, I watched that one and I was like, obviously made up because you don't want Chelsea like when you play Arsenal. Obviously, there's those games that you watch because a bit of a hate watch just to see if anything can get done against them. But yeah, I watched the Chelsea one. I watched his against Arsenal as well. Just thought like really good. Just making it really competitive. Style of play is really good, I think, especially when you come up from the championship. You need to like, especially I think you mentioned Xhaka before we started recording, but having someone in there like Xhaka who knows what the Premier League's all about, and he knows like he can get stuck in, but he's good on the ball tactically. He'll be like they won't need telling obviously, but he can give the lads an insight into the type of challenge they're going to be facing week in week out. So it's having those type of players in those areas that can help the team. But I've honestly really enjoyed watching you. Like I said before, I've been looking forward to this game for a couple of months now anyway. But even more so now when you like obviously mentioned Sunderland are above us, and we can hop back above yous in the league if we win on Wednesday night. So but no, honestly, been really impressed with what you've been doing and really enjoying it because when you look through, it's like a little look through your results there, and like there's always goals. Like if you as a neutral, either Sunderland are on or someone else is on, you're going to pick Sunderland because you're guaranteed to have to be in for a decent game. And even if it's a big team, especially like teams that come up in the past, and if they go away to like to us or to Chelsea, they just roll over. They just give up. They can't just give up because like we haven't got enough fight. We haven't got enough quality. That's we're goosed basically. And whereas it feels like Sunderland are a bit of the opposite of that, where they just go for it. And it's like we're here. Let's make the most of it. And I love teams that come up and do this because it's not like you haven't had a decent spell in the Premier League before. Do you know what I mean? In my eyes, you're a Premier League team, so come up and do what you've done in the past and make a good fist of it, and that's what you've been doing.
It's interesting you talk about Sunderland in the way that you just have, because I remember when we first came up and we had West Ham, Burnley, Brentford, and like on paper as a newly promoted team, you're going, oh, I'd like to think we can win them. And I remember West Ham fans were going, oh God, Sunderland are happy they've got us go Champions Europe a year ago, how far we've fallen. And there's a few comments that lacked some respect, shall we say, which happens. Look, that's just the way it happens. I know that. I understand what's happened with promoted teams, and I get why it happened. I'm not criticizing anyone, but there's become a point where the more I've done these shows, I can hear sort of more respect for us coming through, which is actually really nice. How are Liverpool fans viewing it? Because look, let's not kid ourselves. 4 months ago, Sunderland fans would have probably thought, right, okay, Liverpool away and Man City away, shit. I think I did a TikTok of it, and like our December fixtures being used in Man City away, I was like, oh God. And you'd kind of mark it down, like if we're being realistic and honest. Now we're going into the game, and I was asked for a prediction from a Liverpool site the other day, and look, I'm not going to give my prediction away before we do it. I do think Liverpool might nick us. I think you'll have been boosted by that win at the weekend. I think it takes a bit of pressure off your shoulders. But the fact that I didn't immediately go, well, Liverpool win that, it kind of is a big plus to us, but it feels like we are getting some respect. So, like, well, more than some respect, we're getting respect. How are Liverpool fans viewing the challenge of Sunderland? Because I suppose, and again, no disrespect to Ipswich, Leicester, or Southampton, but I imagine we look a little bit of a different prospect compared to last season's promoted teams.
Yeah, and Slot will be telling the players exactly that. He'll be saying, "Look at the Chelsea result. Look at the Arsenal result. Um, this isn't going to be an easy fixture." And the fact that the way we are at the minute as well, um, you've got players that can hurt us. You've got big fellas up in the areas. You've got pace. So it's one of them where I'll be shocked if there's less than 3 goals. To be honest with you, I won't give me away a prediction yet, but I fancy at least get your bets on over 3 goals. I fancy it in this one. But no, we're under no illusions. It's going to be a difficult game. Even start of the season, if we would have been second game of the season, I still think it would have been a really difficult game because you guys have came up and have just thought, "Fuck it, we're gonna make a fist of this and really go for it." And fair play to us. But no, I've got not like I said, I've got nothing but respect for Sunderland and especially when you're going through a phase where when your team's losing, you don't want to watch any footy, and but then if I saw like certain teams are on, you go, "Oh, yeah, I'll flick that on because they're likely to have a bit of chaos in that game and they're likely to make it a bit entertaining, a bit interesting. So I think the players as well, like I'm sure Van Dijk will be telling the lads that this is going to be a real difficult game as well, especially with. I mean, like I said before, like I'm sure he won't be saying if we win, we go above them in the league because that's just like a bit mad to say out loud. And especially like from your side as well, like I just look, you mentioned with us Man City, and then you've got Newcastle at home as well. So you've got it's a difficult little run for you there, like, but this is what you came back wanted to come back in the Premier League for. You want to be going away to two of the big teams, and then having that derby back in the Premier League as well, which not many better things than a derby in the Premier League. So yeah, I'm honestly I can't wait. I can't wait for it. I think I can tell by you're excited as well for it. So I'm just excited for a good game, and I think the way Liverpool are playing, we don't know what we're going to get. It could be 3-0 Sunderland. It could be 3-1 Sunderland, but it could be 3-1 to us as well. You just don't know, and that's what is a bit annoying because I want Liverpool to win every game, but it's also exciting as well, I guess.
I think if we win 3-0, you might have to scrape me off the ceiling. And you're right in what you're saying. Like, I'm looking to you look at Liverpool win, Man City win. Again, no disrespect to Ackrick and Stanley, but like the fourth time got a little bit frustrating. And you think, God, I'd love to go back to Liverpool. I'd love to go back to
Yeah,
City. And I remember we got Arsenal in the cup and we got battered 5-1. And it was just nice to kind of be back where we feel we can compete. I don't want to say
yeah,
belong because you are where you deserve to be. And even the little small games, like you said, our next home game, the little team coming up, bless them, coming up for a wee weekend, where they're sadly probably going to go home with nothing. But yeah, you're right. The little teams count as well. The little teams count as well. It's nice to do them a service. But look, two questions. The preview listeners, all 10 of them that listen, will know this question comes every single week. I'm going to be honest. I didn't think I'd be asking this with confidence maybe 4 months ago, but again, shows you how well we've done over the past few months. If you could take one player from Sunderland's squad to put into Liverpool's squad, doesn't have to be first 11. It can be just someone in your squad that I think will look good on the bench, or it could be someone that you think will apply to the starting 11. Who would you take and why would you take them?
yeah. I was just having a little look through your team, and obviously I've seen your team plenty this season. Like we mentioned Xhaka before, who's just I've always liked him on the ball. Obviously, he can get the odd red card as well, which isn't the best. But I think in terms of on the ball, he's always really good. I've been really impressed with Isidore up top. I just think he's, especially when you're in the current situation, he's up there. He's a big fella. He's a fighter, isn't he? He'll get stuck in. He'll make stuff happen. He can nick you a goal. That type of stuff, especially when you're going through a bit of a period where we have. You kind of need that a little bit. You just need someone who's going to get the head on something off a corner, or just try to look from range or whatever, and just nicks in off the post. Something like that where you might just try something off the cuff and it works. And I've honestly been really impressed with him this season. So I know we've just spent shitloads on strikers, but I think I'd have him. I'd have him,
Well, if he's actually worth 120, we'll want 135 at least. But predictions wise, I think I'd love us to go and make a fist of it, and I'd love to think we could do a Chelsea sort of esque result. But I'm also fully aware that we went to Manchester United and got beat 2-0, and I kind of went thinking, oh, we can turn these over on a bad run of form. And I suppose you look at Liverpool in a similar vein, although I do think Liverpool over the course of the season will finish above Manchester United. It's maybe a good time slash bad time to play you. Good in terms of the fact that there'll be a bit of pressure and expectation from used to win, maybe more so from the outside world at points. But I think that win takes a bit of pressure off your shoulders. I think Isak scoring a goal, whilst I'm pleased he did it, he got his first goal against West Ham and not us. I
know.
think clearly he's a very good striker and he's chose the right club. He's moved on to bigger and better things as I support him in. And I think we'll put a good performance in. I feel like no one's going to destroy us this season, if I'm honest. I think if we get beat, it's going to be fair and square, the same as it has been. Got beat off Burnley fairly and squarely. They played us well. Manchester United, we got the formation wrong. They got the two early goals. We recovered, couldn't get the goal, and then we lost to Fulham the other week, and they were the better team, and we were poor. if we can put in a good performance and give ourselves something to take to Man City, and then of course that big game, all jokes aside, in a couple of weeks' time, that's as much as you can hope for, I think. But I do think Liverpool might nick us 2-1. I just think there's probably, even if we keep you like level for a period of time, I do think you have options on the bench there that can just win something in an instant. That's kind of the why you paid the money for them. But I assume you might feel similar being a Liverpool fan. But I'm unfortunately going to say 2-1. But when I've said we're going to lose, we've won this season. So there's a little bit of superstition in that as well, which the listeners will know. But I genuinely think we might just get nicked.
Yeah, I mean, I've gone for 2-1. But like I said, it could go either way. It honestly could. Like the West Ham game is, if we would have lost the if we would have lost the West Ham game, I would have came on here and I would have probably just said you're going to win 2-3-0. But I think hopefully that's, like I mentioned, a little bit of a foundation for us to build on. There was something there. We're back at Anfield. Usually, when I say we're back at Anfield, that means I expect us to win comfortably, but that's not the case in the current play that we're in. But yeah, I feel like over the course of a 90-minute game, like you said, with like if we start Isak, we've got Ekitike, we've got on the bench. If we start Ekitike, we've got Isak on the bench. So Vert being back fit is great news. I thought Joe Gomez was really good at right back and should have been restored to the side way sooner because he's quick, strong, powerful, and he's got height. So I'm shocked Slot didn't put him back in there sooner. So I think we're just looking a little bit more robust in there, and that's not saying much considering we haven't been that robust for about 2 months now. But yeah, I'm looking forward to it. I'm excited. I am hoping that we do just pip it 2-1. I do fancy us to score, but it's definitely going to be a 3-goal game easily.
Yeah, I feel the same way as well. I wouldn't be surprised if it was a 3-2. I just hope it's on our side. But look, a few years ago when we first started following each other and chatting, I didn't really necessarily expect it to be as quick as it was, and I certainly didn't expect our first preview show us to be above you. But I'll take it for the now. But
Yeah,
that might change in a few days. It might not. Who knows? But Mick, honestly, good chatting to you, and good luck for the rest of the season after Wednesday, of course.
yeah, nice one. Appreciate the invite.